Hello guys, you are watching me, Nikki Yu, also known as Facelesstrader here in Awesome 10X channel. It's June 11, 2020, and we're here to discuss Philippine market updates. So in our title, we're asking, is Double Dragon doing well despite the pandemic? So there was an article in Inquirer.net written by Ms. Doris Dumlao Abadilla, April 27, 2020. Let me read the entire article for you. Injap told the Enquirer that all 37 community malls under Double Dragon subsidiary City Mall commercial centers were currently operational. It is not writing off 2020 despite the prolonged lockdown of Metro Manila, as its chain of community-based shopping malls, all located outside the NCR, remain operational, while its hotels are nearly filled by BPO employees. As he said, for City Mall, since it's a community center with only about 7,000 square meters per site, about 75% of our tenants are basic essential providers, supermarkets, pharmacy, food, clinic, banks, and money remittance centers. And outside the City Mall chain, the Double Dragon has two shops in Metro Manila, the retail component at its head office, Double Dragon Plaza at MOA, and Dragon 8 Shopping Center in Binondo. This brings its total shopping mall footprint to 39 nationwide. For the two malls in the metropolis, essential providers such as retailers are operational, and our hotel properties under the Injap Inn and Hotel 101 brands are currently enjoying a 94% occupancy rate despite the ECQ. This is because these are housing the BPO employees. Injap said we have 5 BPO companies who got our rooms, and their employees are served by our hotels, as the BPO companies were required by the government to provide their employees a place to stay near their offices as a condition of the continuous operation of their centers. All of our hotels are operational, but only to long-staying guests, like the BPO employees who have been staying since the ECQ started. As to date, Double Dragon built a leasable area of 803,000 square meters, while total acquired prime properties are now 200 hectares. That was the news. Actually, today's earnings release from Double Dragon actually is a surprise for most of the market punters. Double Dragon's 2019 financial highlights shows the following. In their press release, they said consolidated net income is up 43% to about 10.65 billion from 7.42 billion in 2018. Full year 2019 numbers up 40%, revenues 20 billion from 14 billion in 2018. Recurring revenues up 30% to about 3.95 billion from 3.03 billion in 2018. Rental income up 30% to 3.20 interest on all corporate notes and retail bonds with no key maturity until November 2021. Pivot to recurring income continues. They've completed 800,000 square meters of leasable space. This is coming from zero during its IPO 2019 year-end cash position at 6.7 billion pesos. Now, take note that these bright numbers are coming in as the company is trying to announce their REIT offering. They are trying to offer a REIT offering in the fourth quarter of the year, May 26, 2020. These press releases are in cognizance of the company's plans to actually target another 11 billion peso REIT offering, real estate investment trust offering, unfazed by the COVID pandemic. Our plans have not changed, except that instead now we plan to do the REIT offering by quarter 4 this year, 2020, Injap said. Although there's a global pandemic now going on, there are still investors looking to invest in specific companies that they believe have a good, relevant, and resilient portfolio. Right now, what matters is the long-term relevance and resilience of the business model more than anything else. The COVID crisis has allowed Double Dragon to demonstrate that until its four pillars of growth are resilient, relevant, well-positioned to capture the future. These four pillars are provincial retail leasing, office leasing, industrial leasing, and hotels. In January, Double Dragon said that it is doing a REIT listing for about 200,000 square meters of leasing assets in the next 6 years until 2025 under an estimated cap rate of about 6%. Mr. Injap, of course, is also doing a public offering of his Mart consumer IPO. It is scheduled. It's scheduled on June 15. That would be Monday. In light of those news, I think it was a pretty timed. I would say that it was a pretty timed press release for Double Dragon. Double Dragon announced these press releases in light of the bet that people are betting more on the jockey rather than the horse. As you could see, Mart only has 7 stores trying to raise 1.68 billion pesos. The market cap of 7 billion pesos is way overboard, but people are bullish. It's about 15 times oversubscribed. I'm just reporting to you facts. The fact is that most people in the Philippines have a high confidence on the founder, or rather the jockey, rather than the horse. So let's take a look on your charts for the day. As you could see, with Double Dragon announcing some bright numbers, the charts are showing a big boost today. And Double Dragon is up 11% for the day, peso, 60 million peso value traded. Take note though that Double Dragon is up 11% for the day, but it is down year to date, and it is still down. I'll show you the charts for this company. Wait up. News and charts. A lot of people are skeptical based on the cash position, etc., etc. So today, the declaration of cash dividends of Double Dragon Properties for their preferred shareholders is a testament that they are willing and able to pay for those preferred share dividends. Amount of cash dividends per share is 1.61945 as of all the record holders, June 30, 2020. Payment date July 14. It comes from their unrestricted retained earnings as of May 31, 2020. Let's view their full chart. Okay. Let's go to the history of Double Dragon. So you could see Double Dragon is famous for for going from about 2 peso to 80 peso in just a short span of time, and then made a reset all the way down back to about 10 pesos. Its low of 10 pesos this March is now at 20 or 100% from the March lows. Nevertheless, the volume today is the highest, as you could see, in the last few months, from March till April till May. Double Dragon never enjoyed a 14 million share count of value traded until today. So this is a breakout in terms of volume on those news reports of a REIT offering, as well as the press release, cash dividends, the full year numbers. So I think if you're basing this on the chart, you've got a risk reward of about 2 peso downside and a reward of about 6 to 7 peso. It matches those risk reward ratios, but be aware of so just be aware of your risk reward ratio and your position size. This is a news mover for the day. Of course, next day, the company. So we will see whether the Double Dragon founder still has mojo to basically entice and excite the market. Nevertheless, that's one of the top movers for the. Let's take a look at your index. We've seen a lot of people taking profits as they saw that the airline rallying winning streak has ended. Given that the weakest links have basically shown profit taking, a lot of the people were taking profit. Today's market value is 6.5 billion, but you have more decliners, 117 decliners, more than your 72 advancers. 51 stocks are unchanged. Taking a look at the charts, you could see that a lot of financials fell, but there was an intraday buying for some names that fell about more than 10%. Let's take a look one by one. First and foremost, your Philippine stock index has rallied a substantial 16% last week and continued forward. The peak for the last few days was about 6,578. This coincides with your March ECQ time, which was about March 9, the day before we were officially ECQ. So this reopening has staged a V-shaped move for your Philippine stock index from about March till June. Some people have, of course, taken profits. We are seeing profit taking in your PSEI index stalwarts such as your SM, your Ayala Corp. So SM fell from about 1,000 down to about 906, then recovered today to 950, still off from those 840 breakout points. AC, let's take a look on your big charts. Ayala Corp 800 fell a bit to about 766, but still enjoying a strong rally, still at 790. SMPH, okay, let's just take a look one by one on all your big index names. SM Prime still consolidating here in a flag at 33 bucks. Ali is trading at about 37. It's back in that pre-ECQ time of March 9. Of course, your financials haven't gone back to their pre-ECQ time. Take note that BDO was trading at 140 during that time, fell all the way down to about 75 or 50% down in that entire stretch ECQ, recovered a bit at 116, fell to a higher low of 85. That's a double top at 116. People who are bargain hunting are looking at BDO to be one of the index names that can still have some upside, given that, of course, the banks are a laggard sector. However, there is also news that these banks have to be an uncertain bet given the provision to, given their exposure to consumer loans, non-provision losses. So it really depends on how, since it's an uncertain data, you could actually not, until those data shows, traders will continue to be trading the volatility of BDO, all the financials. For now, we are seeing higher lows. Lots of buyers here in your channel from about 98 to 101. Today's retest in 101 quickly went up to about the dragonfly move, closing at 105. There is still no assurance that that was the real low. We could see some retests here at about 101 or even here at 98. Nevertheless, we could see that the risk reward is given to the bulls. People who like financials could consider here the 101. That was your previous resistance that is now acting as support. Take note that the 101 fell all the way to 85 as Security Bank was falling down. BDO was a sympathy play with Security Bank. When Security Bank bounced, BDO also followed. And we could see the same thing happening on Security Bank charts here. 100 pesos used to be the resistance, fell down to about 77 during the MSCI deletion, rallied all the way to about 114, some profit taking. Now that retest at 100, we are seeing that the previous resistance is now acting as support for Security Bank. Again, all your financials are still not recovering in their March previous prices of about 140, 145. Some people trying to bargain hunt will continue to play through the banks, through these financials. Security Bank and BDO continues to get that risk reward for the ones who are bullish on financials. Now, of course, we know that the airlines are sinking abroad. You've seen airlines fall 20% in the last 2 days. Following suit, Cebu Pacific also meets its maker. Airlines are sinking after hitting that 54. Airlines are dropping and not flying. Airlines fell from about 54 right now. It fell quickly to 46. We are still awaiting whether these airlines will have deeper retest. A deeper retest could take it all the way to about 36, as its previous low here is about 30. We are still not aware how low the weakest sectors can go. So this is a wait and see moment for now. It's a 50-50 shot here at 46.49, whether it continues higher or continues lower. Macro Asia, of course, in the airline sector follows suit, goes down a bit, taking profits after a super 80% rally from about 350 to about, oh sorry, it's 80% rally. That would be more than 100% if you got the lows of 350 all the way to about 7.4. So right now we are seeing profit taking happening. The previous resistance here at about 538 could act as support. That would still give you a downside move of about What's that downside move? It's around from today's close, you are still seeing if it wants to retest that previous support, previous resistance turning support, you can still see an 18% slide. So we aren't aware if Macro Asia will slide. However, what we're seeing on the airline space abroad is that they are continuing to take profit. So the charts of all the airlines all worldwide are looking like the same. Macro Asia looks the same picture as Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines went from about 16 as high as 36, a good move of about 100% from the lows to the peak, 112%. Now we're seeing a retest. We can see Delta Airlines fall another drop for about 10-15%. Should Delta Airlines fall, it's likely that Macro Asia, Cebu Pacific will follow the worldwide airline movements. Um, for the other sectors, we could see that energy as a group, transportation has been rallying. Take a look in your largest transportation energy names, Exxon Mobil and Chevron. Exxon Mobil, of course, rallied 100% from its lows from about 31 to about 55. Some Filipinos here in the Philippines are trying to make a catch-up play here in your Shell Philippines. We're seeing that Filipina Shell is continuously your gas station in the Philippines. Last I checked, it's about 45 pesos per gasoline per liter. So you could see that Shell Philippines is trying to recover. Take note that its March areas were around 30, 26 to 30. So assuming that there are still bargain hunting happening here, the disappointment of Shell Philippines was when they decided not to declare a dividend. Take note that every year Shell Philippines used to pay 3 pesos. They actually have a huge cash position right now. And I think that the company just wanted to ensure that they could handle the tide through COVID. That's why they postponed or they didn't pay a dividend this year. Should the company continue to pay dividends next year, that would be the possible catalyst for Shell Philippines to rise back to about 26 or 32. Take note that if they're paying 3 pesos, 20 pesos today is a 15% move. Shell Philippines used to pay that much. We're not sure if they will pay in the future, but they have that dividend policy in their company books. So we'll see if they can pay dividends. Even if it's not 3 pesos, even at 1 peso dividend, that would still be a good thing for these, how do you say this, energy names. So we're seeing that it did retest that 19.5 handle. That was a support. That was your previous resistance that acted as support. So you could see that Shell Philippines is getting a lot of buying action here at about 20 pesos below. Risk is on your side, risk reward. So the reward is bigger, the risk is smaller. These are trades that good professionals or good traders will make. Win or lose, take the good risk reward ratios. Now, we're going to take a look on your unloved sectors, what's happening in them. As we said, the unloved sector, which is mining, actually had a good rebound, actually waking up after all those negative headlines all throughout the world. You could see that some people are playing Nickel Asia as a play for your electric cars. Nickel, of course, is a component in your batteries. You have lithium ion and nickel for your electric car vehicles. We're seeing that Nickel Asia, I'm not saying that this is pure beneficial of that movement, but nevertheless, the supply and all those stuff with the company trading 7-year lows, it's back in your, sorry, it's not 7-year lows, it's back at your 2010 areas. So there are people who are bargain hunting this name, given that Nickel Asia will always be, actually not always, but they have habitually paid some dividends during their good years. So given that the cycles are about 5 to 10 years for some people in the mining industry, seeing that it's a 10-year lows is convincing for some people to bet on Nickel Asia here at these 195 levels. We're seeing that in the last 2 weeks, a strong move for Nickel Asia from about 1.6 to as high as 2.2. As you could see last night, a lot of your renewable plays such as electric vehicles, Tesla, eclipsed 1,000. I'm not saying because it would really translate to the move to Nickel Asia, but given that a lot of your renewable energy theme or rising fuel cell energy. Take a look what happened there last night. BLDP, Ballard also rising very strongly. These are in USA. Plug. So I think that it's gonna be helpful. Those US ideas would help companies in the Philippines, such as Nickel Asia, in their supply chain to give to China and all those electric battery makers. So as nickel is a component of your lithium ion batteries and so forth, that could be an explanation for the surge. Either that or just people trying to bargain hunt. Nevertheless, you have this risk reward. Any prices here at 190 to 160 has bulls dominated. Where's your reward? It could be anywhere from 270 to $3. So with the risk reward component by your side, this is a trade that you could actually make. So 60% reward and about downside of about 15%, 12%. So 1:5. 1:5 ratio for this name. What other names can we look at? Let's go to your gainers and losers. Okay, so banks are still losing. After a brief rally, we are seeing that your BPI has to meet their resistance at about 77, 78. Now it's falling down at big rally, still waiting for when the supports would be. Is it 64 or is it 68? But for now, those who sold near the high, seeing that's SM, your financials, your properties have rallied all the way from 5.9 to 6.8 in such a short span of time. They've taken their cue, taken their profits. Now is the question, what's the higher low for these names? Right now, it's a guessing game. I wouldn't know where BPI's higher low would be. It could be here at about 64. It could also be here at about 68. But for now, we'll wait for the market to tell us where's the higher low for your financials. Another thing to look at would be your, I think there was news last night that 30% capacity for your restaurants. That's actually going to do better, help them at least to get more diners. So we can see that past few days have been bullish for your pizza, your Maxes, your Jollibee. So it's still a reopening theme. We could see these higher lows present at about 120 to 130 for Jollibee. Your Maxes could have support somewhere at about 550 to about 6. As you could see, it bounced off these lows at 520. So yeah, higher lows for that. Pizza, which is the Shakey's Pizza. After a beef rally from about 555 to 7, just like all counter names, we're seeing a 2-day profit taking move. It's all up right now on the higher lows. So it's a question on how will it get their higher, is it a higher low here at 6 or is it a 550? So far, we are seeing that these restaurants are giving you higher low moves. So whether that was it, today was the low, or next few days another low, take a look whether if it falls, there's your risk reward ratio going on for you in these restaurant space. Now, casinos, we said last night that Sun City has already done their convertible issuance for the, so it's a 5.6 billion peso issuance. SunTrust Home Developer is getting ready to be Sun City. They are building a 5-star hotel and casino here in Parañaque Bay Area. We're seeing that breakout at 132 is still intact, whereas your resistance is somewhere at 160. Whereas your downside, well, it could downside here at about 120 if there are like bad moves on the airline space again or on the entire world. As you can see, a lot of people worldwide sees that the airline stocks are unsustainable. And with that sentiment on these unsustainable rallies, whether it be on your airlines, financials, or your reopening stocks such as Disney theme parks, that would weigh a lot on your sentiment, causing more profit taking to ensue after a 2025, a really strong 16 to 20% rally for some of these names. Yeah, so well, what you could see is that the market value today is 6.5 billion. It's less than those 8-10 billion peso days that we were getting. So as you could see, there is profit taking, not yet a big distribution. We don't know the higher lows. It could be as high as 6,000. But I want you to check on your risk reward ratios. And that's it for the day. Thank you very much. See you again tomorrow for the latest news, Philippines updates. Bye bye.